Poodles were originally water dogs. They were working guard dogs along the water. They were not to be trifled with. They were warrior dogs, yeah.
This is Priya Anand, and we are Spiraling. In this show, we use curly hair as a lens to investigate our world. Is there anyone who didn't see the viral curly lion photo recently? Between that and the fact that I always call every curly dog I see on the street my hair twin, and that is said with a lot of affection, we're answering a very important question in this episode. What role does curly hair play for animals? I was researching who might be able to help answer this sort of weird question, and I found her, a scientist who explained animal mating systems in a TED Talk using the hip-hop song OPP by Naughty by Nature. First, we take a moment to appreciate that pun. And now we'll get to the episode.
I am Dr. Danielle N. Lee. I am I've been promoted. I am an associate professor of biological sciences at Southern Illinois University, Edwardsville.
Amazing.
I teach general biology to freshmen, both majors and non-majors. I teach graduate courses as well as mammalogy. Mammalogy is the study of mammals. So in the animal kingdom, it's all the animals that possess these three traits. They have fur or hair, they lactate, and they have these really special ear bones. That is what makes a mammal. Now, we often hear like, oh, warm-blooded. That's not unique to mammals. Our bird cousins can also do that. So that's not unique to mammals. But the three traits that define what a mammal is this unique set of ear bones or ossicles, and where the name comes from, lactating milk, mammy, M-A-M-M-A-E, mammae, a mammary gland. So being able to make your own food from these specialized, what we think evolutionarily comes from, are derived from sweat glands. So imagine a specialized sweat gland makes this nutritive substance. That's what makes a mammal a mammal.
And you have an additional specialty, which I will say seems absolutely like a specialty. You did a TED Talk about how songbirds are not monogamous, and you used hip hop to help explain that. It was a song called OPP by Naughty by Nature, which Naughty by Nature, there's also a bit of a pun there that I can appreciate for this.
Yes.
And you said hip hop helps us understand science. So please tell me how you found this specialty for yourself. And I hope you can bring it into this conversation too.
It may happen. No. So that's the other thing. I do use a lot of pop reference and pop culture in my explanation of science. So like these days I use a lot of anime because I've started watching anime with students. So I use a lot of those references, but it's this idea of taking what we already know, like where's our cultural lexicon? And for me as a younger person, hip hop was my cultural lexicon. It was the music I was listening to. So it was a part of my background. And then finding a relationship between my everyday and then what was becoming my new everyday, which was science. And so finding that connection. Still use hip hop as a background. And now I've expanded a little bit more out to pop culture. And then I encourage students to kind of use their own version of that, whether they're listening to current hip hop or other genres of music or other genres of entertainment. How can you find that connection between the culture and entertainment that you're seeing every day? You know, how can you take these bits and pieces and make it your own? And then how do you use it for serving whatever is important to you and your communities?
So some animals, they're curly. Some animals are not curly. Just like us, some are curly, some are not. How does that happen?
So curly hair happens in the wild, and I think most of us are more familiar with it in domesticated animals. But so how it happens at the base level is there's a gene for it.
Mm-hmm.
And the gene is called the Rex gene, R-E-X gene, which in Latin means king.
We are royalty.
We are royalty, the curly top, yes. So that's how it happens. And so there's a gene for it. So a lot of that is just what you inherit genetically. Now, among humans, we know that there's a relationship, for the most part, between our hair pattern and then the environment that our ancestors lived in. We know among animals, there's a relationship too. We don't tend to think of it in animals because it's not as prominent. But what hair is, so think of it this way. We use it in a lot of cultural ways. But what a hair is, regardless of how curly, regardless of your patterns, anywhere from 1A all the way up to 4C, it is a hint into how the folks or the things in your taxonomic background, it gives a hint into how they had to make a living. And so here's the advantage of hair, curly hair. Curly hair is really amazing from a thermoregulation point of view. So it gives me, so if you follow this like an investigator.
My specialty, investigative reporter,
you can use today's traits and then I can back calculate. In other words, I can put together a really good story to go, okay, this person's ancestors, if this curl pattern is consistent in their family line, it can give hints into how they made a living and where they may have made a living, the types of climates that they live. That's because curly hair is really good for insulation. And so thermoregulation. Mammals, even though we can make our own heat, so this idea of warm-bloodedness, we can make our own heat. We can keep our body temperature constant, which is important for making a living and staying alive, especially if you're living in very cold places. But even if you live in hot places, you still want to maintain your optimal temperature. You don't want your temperature going up and down all willy-nilly. That can mess you up too. And mammals aren't designed for that. We're designed to keep it within this band, this little range. So hair is one of those things. It's like a little valve, if you will. It can help us to release some heat or hold on to heat to still keep it within that optimal range without us burning up our own fuel. Because to keep warm costs energy. It's like you feeding a fire to a fireplace. You're going to run out of wood eventually. We only have so much to use, so we got to be able to do little tweaks on the thermostat without turking it all up and down. So like your grandpa, leave my thermostat alone. Quit touching it.
So there was this photo that went viral on Instagram of a curly lion. And not kidding, at least 5 people sent me that picture when it went viral, DM'd it to me, including Will, producer for this show, who immediately when he sent it to me, I was like, oh my God, we got to do an episode on curly animals. This is it.
I thought that was a Photoshop at first. I really did. But no.
A lot of people, I think, were like, is this going to be the question for the rest of our time now? Is this AI or is it real? Right?
No, I agree. But no, he has the freshest Caesar cut. It's like fresh, baby. It's fresh. The layers. Yes,
so tell me,
he's very handsome and regal.
Why might it be the case that some lions may evolve to have curly hair?
So I think, so here's the thing, that hair, so that gene was always there. So the gene was always there. And even with male lions, thinking of the traditional one where it's all poofy, if you look really closely, that hair is really thick, especially at the base. So it didn't come from scratch, if that makes sense. It just didn't. So it's already this nice, thick bit of fur, especially if you get down to the base. So that's where a lot of, regardless animals, if you go to the base of their bodies, you tend to have that softer fur. A lot of animals have naturally finer hair, but early curly hair, even if they have straight hair. That's the other thing. So that fur that's soft, downy, a lot of that is naturally curly too. So there's like hidden curls everywhere. So imagine that. I think the best way to think of that is you think of like those fine baby hairs. So you know how baby hairs are that kind of little wispy and curly? So that it's already in them.
If you haven't seen this curly lion, we'll put him in our newsletter for this episode. You can subscribe for free at wearespiraling.com.
My question is going to be, if he's a successful male that gets a pride and has babies, will we see this trait pop up in the next generations? Now that is, I think in the next 5 to 10 years, it's going to be interesting to see if this trait begins to take over. Then that can tell us something about how sexual selection might be playing on it.
You know, I gotta say, we did an episode about how boys and even older men are getting perms because they get more dates. salon owners told me, actually, this is the reason we hear the most from men. They find that they get more matches on dating apps and their dating life has improved. So maybe your theory holds.
It might. So here's the thing. What does curly hair has the appearance of looking fuller? Fuller hair looks youthful. It makes, so that makes them look more vibrant and virile. So it has all of that. But thermoregulatory, it is good for the body. So in cold climates, it keeps the body warm because it traps that layer of air. So it serves as an insulation. In warm environments, it does similarly. So it acts as that insulation layer. And curly hair is also, we see it come up in animals that get wet a lot. So in other words, it has this water protection for thermoregulation because the curly hair allows them to wick it away faster. So when you see an animal shake, get rid of that water, it actually releases it better from that curly hair so they can get back, get close to their body, can get back to that insulation. It can start then trapping air to keep them warm.
Are there animals that have evolved to become more curly over time, or the reverse that you've studied, right? Either animals that started off with straighter hair and became more curly over time because they found, there was some degree of evolutionary advantage, or the reverse?
So we think that's what happened to a lot of the wild animals that have curly hair. So among the hoofed animals, we see it in the ones that live in cold regions, like up mountains. So like there's curly animals. So the hoofed animals, I know that there's, let me get it right, different types of sheep, llamas, alpacas. That's curliness. Like we know that curly hair evolved in those places. Bison, the American bison, that's actually this beautiful, tightly curled, tight wool. A lot of the sheep, even though a lot of some sheep live in mountainous regions and others in warm regions near deserts, but it's still the similar philosophy. And I think and we compare sheep to goats. A lot of the goats have straight hair. It's a couple that don't. Sheep, and I always tease, I say sheep and goats, they're really like cousins, like really closely related. Goats are just mean sheep, just a mean sheep. That's all they are.
So the animals with curly hair are nicer, is what you're saying.
I think so. If nothing else, among people, we know that they're definitely the cute ones. Back to getting more dates. There's something cute about curls. Curls are cute.
I would agree with that. Made a whole show about it. And I'm also starting a curly hair care product line because I'm deeply obsessed.
So in researching for this, I came across there's now a curly hair pig.
There is. How did that happen?
I don't know. It's a domesticated animal.
Danielle is referring to Hungarian Mangalitsa pigs. In the 1800s, a Serbian prince sent 10 sows and 2 boars to the Duke of Hungary to develop this new breed. Mangalitsas are rare. They have thick, sheep-like curly coats that protect them from harsh winters.
So what happens with a lot of domesticated animals is that the old breeds, no one was breeding for hair. They were breeding for other traits, and then hair came along on the ride. And that's what we see in a lot of domesticated animals, is this other evolutionary pattern of pediomorphosis. So the word pedia, as in pediatrician, as in children. So in domesticating of animals, what we're usually focusing on is making an animal cuter. So the cuteness is an actually evolutionary process called pediomorphosis to make them more childlike, to make them cuter. And it usually results in things like making the face look a little flatter, and so cuter, eyes bigger, and hair coat changes come along for the ride, not intentional. So think of domesticated animals like
dogs, I assume.
Dogs, horses. You know how a lot of them have that little star on the face or that white patch? It has a name called the piebald. And they sometimes have a cute that little spiral. Some people call it a dog lick. Or you have that cute little hair pattern that goes in a circle, that spiral, and sometimes the hair becomes curly. That's sometimes an unintentional trait with artificial selection. Pediomorphosis is that the hair becomes curly. And that's because they're making them more juvenile-like, because juvenile mammals tend to have thick, curly hair, like the thicker down fur. Again, for thermoregulations, babies can't keep themselves warm very well, so they have this cute, fine, but curly wool-like hair close to their body. And then that trait just takes off unintentionally. By braiding it for one set of traits, these other traits come along on the ride.
Explain to me Poodles versus other types of dogs. And I'm not a huge dog expert. I've never had a pet.
Okay.
So I'm probably asking a really dumb question here. Why are some dogs curly and some aren't? And obviously there's a genetic factor, but outside of the genetic factor.
Their jobs.
The poodle's job is to be cute, so it has
actually,
to be curly.
Poodles are originally water dogs.
Oh.
And again, I told you how curly hair was good for that. Poodles were originally water dogs. They were working guard dogs along the water. Poodles are water dogs.
Wow. So they were protectors who guarded the moat?
Tall poodles, that. So imagine, let's go back in time.
But they're so cute. It's hard to imagine them doing that.
Poodle came with their work. Yes.
Oh, wow.
They were not to be trifled with.
We are fierce. We are protectors.
And then also think about that curly hair in that aggressive situation. You can't get at it. That nice thick hair also protects it when it's battling wildlife. Yes.
Oh.
They were working dogs. They were warrior dogs. Yeah.
So we are cute and warrior dogs. I love all these traits we're getting here. I love them all.
But that's why poodles are curly. That's because that's a hint to their evolutionary past. And that is, again, now that was artificial selection to make them really good around the water. That hair, that coiled hair, they can still stay warm in the water because you lose heat in the water. But then you can get out, wick it off, boom, and then you can keep your body temperature right.
Curly animals, do they have different grooming rituals from other types of animals, like animals with straighter fur?
Oh, that's a good question. Now I'm trying to think. We look at grooming habits of picking through what we would call finger combing. So finger combing or picking through. You see that in some of the primates, in the more dexterous animals that have handiness and fingerness. Rodents, I know, will pick at things and all of that. But to be honest, I'm going to be honest. I have not thought about it from the grooming point of view of curly animals.
Okay. I was just curious.
I agree. It's what's your regimen?
Yeah. What's their regimen? They must have a different regimen from straight-haired.
Are you pre-pooing?
Yeah, pre-pooing.
Are you pre-pooing? Where's your bonnet? But the yeast is always being made and it has to go somewhere. So it's just leaking out. Hair, if you have hair covered all over your body, it keeps you from losing heat. So that it's kind of like wearing a sweater, if you will. If the hair is straight, it's almost like a straight line, if you will, of that heat escaping. Heat can just roll off. When it's curly, so imagine coils, instead of that heat going straight out into the sky, it circles back close to the skin. So the heat recirculates close to the body. And the reason it's recirculating is because it's a layer of air trap, imagine this microscopic layer, just a little thin layer of air trapped close to the body. When hair is curly, it makes those layers nice and thick and stable. Straight hair is too many open spaces. And so so that air can just escape. So it still has a thin layer of air, but it's not staying close. It's not being patted down, if you will. Curly hair, like how you would make your hair nice and then you would pat it down. That's exactly how the curly hair works to keep that heat close to your body, is that layer. In warmer environments, it traps a cool layer of air. It's very paradoxical, just like when they say wear long sleeves in the summertime, because a long thin layer, it helps trap that cool air. And it's that part is part of it. Not only is it thermoregulatory, but it's also protecting your skin. That's the other thing. And then for animals that live in moist environments, whether they're getting in the water or let's say it's like a rainforest, so think of the gorillas. So gorillas have curly hair. Many mountain gorillas have curly hair when they're babies, and as they grow up, it becomes straighter and straighter. And so it rains a lot up there. When you get wet, you can lose a lot of heat. That's fine if you're overheated. That's not fine when you can't maintain your body temperature very well, which is the case for most baby animals. Baby animals are horrible at maintaining their own body temperature. They lose heat so fast.
What is your favorite curly animal?
You know what? I think my favorite curly animal are the domesticated. What's the cute ones that make wool? The Angora sheep, because they're so cute. They're so cute. They're domesticated though. So yeah, I think those are my favorite. And I like those new poodles that look like dreadlocks.
Oh, I haven't seen those.
Yeah, they're always in the like dog shows all the time. They look like mop heads, but they look like dreadlocks, like locks of hair. So yes.
My dear listener, we will have 100% of these animals in the newsletter for you, I promise. They're all so beautiful, like you. So I asked Danielle, do animals see their hair change with their hormones like humans do? As they go through different life stages, puberty, pregnancy, menopause?
No. So here's the other thing. Most mammals molt, which means they intentionally lose their hair as they reach developmental ages. So there is a molt from youth to adult. That's the reason why the youth tend to have that soft downy fur, and then they get their adult pelage. So
we avoid it. We avoid molting. We use serums and Rogaine to avoid that. Yes.
Well, here's the thing. If we all molted together, it wouldn't be a big deal.
Then everyone would be on a plane to Turkey
Yeah,
for
we're
a hair
all on the same
transplant.
plane. Feel like, oh, okay, you got your fresh seasonal cut. Yeah, got you.
For pictures of curly animals, sign up for our free newsletter at wearespiraling.com. This podcast was produced by Citizens of Sound and hosted by Mayura, my upcoming haircut line. Theme music by Lapgun. Talk to you again soon.